All right, now let's start. Hello, everyone. I'm Zoltán Visy. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Redmenta, and this is Karell with me. He's the director of Tallinn European School. And last week we visited your school, and you told a really exciting story about your first incident with AI. Can you share this story with us?
Sure. Yes, it was indeed very exciting because we had many students up in arms about the situation, the decision of the teacher to give them a 0 after she had discovered that basically the entire class had used AI. In this case, it was ChatGPT to complete an assignment. It was an essay in one of the science classes. This was back in May of 2023 when sort of in general, the conversation around ChatGPT and other similar tools was really starting to become part of the public discourse. And we were already starting to hear from schools and our own ministry questions about what are we going to do? How are we going to, what is this? And what does it mean for schools? So yeah, as I said, the teacher was creating an assignment and she became suspicious everybody had used AI. She used conventional online AI checkers and discovered that, yes, it turned out, or at least according to these tools, that they had been using AI. Now, at the time, of course, our school had a plagiarism policy, but we did not have an AI policy. And so when she claimed that, okay, this is plagiarism, everybody gets a 0, many students fought back. One in particular who wrote quite a long email response to the teacher explaining his perspective on the assignment and on the decision. And we had also received an email from a parent. So I would like to, if it's okay, I'll read the student's response and then the parents and the teachers, as I think it really tells the story well. So the student wrote, I don't know, maybe he used AI to help write this, but anyway, this was what his response was. The usage of AI in lessons and in school in general remains unclear. As many teachers are aware that this exists, they should inform students about their stance on it, and if they are allowed to utilize it or not. In my personal experience, several teachers have even encouraged the use of AI. Therefore, I believe punishing students for suspected use of such tools is unfair, as it has not been mentioned in class before, and especially due to the lack of clarity surrounding the topic. He continued, the definition of plagiarism is taking someone else's words or ideas and presenting them as your own. As AI tools create the content from scratch with unique words and sentences, it makes it difficult to determine their use as plagiarism. Additionally, the help desk of the European Commission on Intellectual Property in ChatGPT has stated that, indeed, under European law, AI cannot own copyright, as it cannot be recognized as an author and does not have the legal personality which is a prerequisite for owning intangible assets. Therefore, the user who creates the prompt and receives the text is the owner of whatever AI creates, which was indeed part of the conversation at that time and still is. Who owns what the AI generates? And the decision was that it's the person who prompts the text. So in the classic definition of plagiarism, this case didn't really sit with the policy that we had at the time. A parent wrote, ChatGPT has been available for a very short period of time, but it has already become evident that it is going to have a huge impact on all aspects of our lives, education being one field where the influence of this new technology is already visible. So it's only logical that there are many discussions on the negative and positive aspects of ChatGPT taking place in universities and schools all over the world. ChatGPT could be a useful tool for brainstorming, preparing for the classes, and it could have its place in the school environment. But like with every new thing, it takes time to understand it, regulate it, and start using it sensibly. Who is the author of a text that was composed with the help of ChatGPT is a question that is occupying the minds of many intellectual property right lawyers at the moment. Considering the novelty of this phenomenon, could tests maybe consider giving the students a possibility to rewrite the homework? They have most definitely learned their lesson. And could this incident maybe serve as an incentive for creating the rules for using ChatGPT for our school? Which we said, yes, absolutely. This should be the the catalyst for preparing a policy. The teacher responded to both the students and the parents that the students being in upper secondary, not lower secondary, they should have known better than to put their names on work that they have not written themselves. When I talked about the topic in the lesson, I only heard excuses and justifications for their right to use ChatGPT, etc., as it's not mentioned in the school rules, instead of taking responsibility. In the end, the teacher stuck with her decision to give the assignment a 0 for everyone, but she did agree to redo the assignment in class, not as homework, without the use of any digital technology. So to truly see what the students could produce on their own without any help. So this was I put on the slide as well, this was the issue, but also the inspiration. As a late adopter to new technologies, I mean, I'm very comfortable saying that it took me a long time to get a smartphone, a long time to sign up for social media, all those things. I was also very hesitant and cautious about what all the buzz about these language predictive models were capable of and what they would bring to school, and whether we should jump on the train and start using them right away or not. But I did recognize that, my personal opinions aside, students were actively using it. I knew from other schools that students were actively using it, that teachers were dealing with the same question. And we knew that we needed a policy in place, that students needed guidance and teachers needed guidance and parents needed guidance. So we all needed guidance on how to, on what to do here. And so we used a local university, Tallinn Technical University, or Talltech. They really specialize in research like this. And they had already created an AI policy. And so we used that as our sort of our basis for creating our own. We researched other policies, both from European schools and also from schools in the United States. And it isn't a long policy. It doesn't need to be a long document. The main key points were to define what we agree is acceptable use of AI, what is misuse of AI, how to cite your sources, how to cite the usage of AI, and probably most helpful for everybody was a map of how to gauge whether, when using AI, you as a student are creating academic, what's the word we used? Academic fraud. Is it academic fraud or not academic fraud? So not specifically plagiarism, because here maybe plagiarism isn't the imperative word, but academic fraud. Are you being honest about how you arrived at your answer and how you did your assignment? So that's what got us to where we are now. And the policy, we implemented it in 2023, and we haven't needed to update it yet. And I haven't heard any other conflicts due to this specific topic since then. So I take that to mean that teachers are comfortable with the policy, they're comfortable with the guidance from the school leadership, and students are also comfortable with what it means for them in terms of their being allowed to use AI. Because certainly some teachers, as the student mentioned, some teachers are really actively encouraging it, as we believe they should be in some regard. Oh, you're muted.
Sorry, did you expect such a sophisticated argument about, especially from the student side? Or is it just the new AI era where the students are getting more sophisticated by using AI?
Well, I would have expected a sophisticated reply from especially from this particular student, and from many of the students at this level, at the last grades of high school. I think they do understand the implications of what they're doing, of the tools they're using, and I think this argument wasn't something that they just thought, oh crap, I got caught, now I need an argument. I think they knew what they were doing, understood the risk of potentially being caught, and were prepared to reply to the teacher in this way, perhaps already. Again, perhaps the student used AI to help, but without the correct prompts, without the correct mindset, you're not going to get the kind of response that you need. I don't think that it was completely written by AI though, because he included some screenshots of he had used his own used his essay in online checking tools, and it had come back as saying being produced by a human, almost 100%, 90%. So he obviously put in his own efforts there to create this very valid response.
Oh, all right. I think you mentioned that your AI policy is available on your website. Maybe we can share this link with this video.
It's a public document, and I encourage anybody who is looking to create their own AI policy, please, by all means, use ours as a starting point.
Cool. Thank you. When we visited you in Tallinn, we did a mini conference together about AI in education, and we heard a lot of doubt from the teachers about utilizing or implementing AI in education. And there was one question about the assessment of knowledge. If the AI can support the students such a manner, what's left? What we can assess?
Yeah, I think that's been the ultimate question throughout this entire discussion since the very start. That, well, if students can just do their work using AI, then what's the point? What's the point of the work? How what are we getting? What's going on? What are we doing? Even a teacher asked, well, if I use AI to ask my questions and the students use AI to answer the questions, then why what's going on actually? It's a huge discussion to have, and it's obvious, again, it's been going on, it continues to go on, and it will. But the main thing that we need to think about is, what are we actually assessing? I mean, with the advent of calculators, I'm sure there was still a similar concern. Well, if students can do all their graphing and calculating on calculators, what's the point of knowing formulas and doing these things on paper? What happens to those skills? What happens to that knowledge? Are we losing out on anything? I don't think any of us nowadays would argue that we're worse off because of those tools. So with the advent of any new technology, it always challenges our routines, our knowledge, our learning, and certainly our assessing as teachers. So we as teachers, as educators, need to redefine in the work we give to students, especially if it's either in class or homework, where if it's in class and they have access to those tools, they're using laptops, for example, then we're encouraging them to use those tools, then we really need to know what is it that we're looking for? Is it just regurgitation of facts, or is it a process? We hear over and over again now, and I agree with this, that what we're really teaching these days is critical thinking. Being able to sort through the noise, to know what's true, to be able to recognize the source of information you receive, to be able to navigate through the noise that is the information in this information age, and to be able to make sound decisions based on the truth. And so if writing an essay is the goal of the teacher, then it's probably not a good idea to make that homework and then ask the students to bring back an essay, because maybe the whole thing was written by AI. And so if the content of the essay is the real assessment, are you assessing the student there? Maybe not really. But if maybe if that assignment, for example, should be done in a different setting, in class, in a room, no screens, just pencil and paper. That's the kind of assessment that's important to you. But there are competencies and skills that can be assessed in other ways, and that where AI can be used, because using AI, using a tool, shows competency in when we can use hammers and nails and jigsaws and all these sorts of things to create furniture or build houses. Well, it shows our competency in carpentry. It doesn't mean that we're cheating. So if many of us adults in our business world or our daily lives are using AI to help us do our jobs, that doesn't make us worse at our jobs. Actually, we could say it probably makes us better because we're being more efficient, more effective. So if students are using these tools in their learning process to accomplish goals, it's not maybe the content of the goal that is necessary, but the path, the journey to get there. It's going to come down to the very specific assignments and tasks and so on. But and I've gone on for a long time, and I think I've gone around and around. But the main thing is, you as a teacher, as an educator, have to really define what it is you're assessing, and then grade the students accordingly, and work with the students accordingly.
Right. So you're saying that instead of assessing if the students can write an essay, maybe the education or the teacher should focus on the process of making an argument or advocating for something, or a process of a comparison, or a process of analysis of.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think a good example is, I know it's been offered by many educators, that have a student create content using AI and then ask them to analyze it. Ask them to really think about whether what they received from the AI is valuable. Is it real? Does it cite real sources? Is it telling you the truth? Has it created a good argument itself? And we do the same when we read other people's essays and we think about it. It's kind of the same thing. So you're still allowing them to go through the process of, as you said, understanding what it takes to formulate a good argument, and then maybe give them a chance to do their own in a different way, maybe through an oral argument, or make a video presentation or something more creative. It doesn't have to be just writing on paper.
The biggest criticism of AI is that it's making the students lazy, and maybe the teachers lazy too. Is it really nurturing critical thinking, or making people lazy?
So my main answer would be that no, it's not making people lazy, because I've had to work pretty hard to corral the situation, and I think teachers and students are as well. Again, it's certainly going to change the landscape of how we teach, but it won't. I think it'll make things easier for us, the same way that all the other technologies, the washing machine has made our lives easier. You wouldn't say you're lazy if you use a dishwasher. You'd say you're smart and saving time for yourself, and that's great. And there have been, lots of people say that, once AI gets good enough to do all these mundane tasks, we'll be able to sit around and learn how to play the guitar, or read as many books as we want. It sounds pretty great to me. If that's really the case, as long as people are being taken care of, people are being fed, there's justice in the world. If these tools can help us create a better society for human beings, then it's only a benefit. And like with any technology, I firmly believe technology itself is not good or bad. It's not neutral either, but it's how we use it. And so we have potential here to use it very well. Of course, there's potential to use it in many ways to hurt people, and students are also going to use it to cheat and be lazy. But we've always been dealing with students cheating and being lazy, buying homework from their peers. I mean, these are tales as old as human history. So I don't see anything so fundamentally different occurring. The technology is different. We haven't seen this before. It's crazy powerful. But I'm more excited about that. What we witnessed during our conference was just awesome. And I know many teachers are very excited about what's possible. And I think when used right, we aren't being lazy. I don't think we should beat ourselves up about it. Like, in that sense, we should use the tools that are available to us.
So it's the same old story, but with a new new
With a
thing,
new twist. Yeah.
shiny new toy.
Yes, exactly.
All right. What do you think? What are the biggest challenges of introducing AI into an education program?
Well, most of them we've discussed. For example, like assessment, schools and educational systems need to really think about because what they're assessing. We still rely on standardized tests at the end of high school to evaluate how students have done and their readiness for university. And universities are still using these test scores to accept students into their universities. So at our school, for example, when we do exams, and I'm sure it's very similar everywhere in most places, it's still pen and paper. So students are not using digital tools to do their exams unless they have special reasons to do so. So we're still assessing these core skills that we've always considered to be very important. So most of that conversation will be happening right now, mostly in the individual classrooms. Then the other big challenge is getting teachers to accept their opportunities here. I think many teachers, in our school, many teachers are resistant to using these tools. Again, like I said, I'm a late adopter. I'm not sure that I'm sure it would have taken me a long time to be like, okay, I'll see what this is all about. But again, with what I've seen, I'm sure if I were in the classroom now, I would be using some of these things. Definitely. Because I like to produce my own content, and I spent a lot of time making worksheets that I can see tools like Redmenta can do instantly. It's amazing. And not only just a worksheet, but for it to be interactive for the student, adaptable, great stuff. But yeah, teachers are still like, I don't know. I've been doing things this way, that way. I know what I'm doing, and I'm not sure I'm ready yet. So school leaders need to continue to create opportunities for teachers to be introduced to new tools, to feel comfortable with tools, receive training on tools. It's also, as I talked about our AI policy, schools need to have a policy so that they can protect their teachers. Because I think, teachers are very worried about doing things the right way, and they need to feel protected. And then so do students. Students are more ready to push the limits and challenge the rules and expectations, but they also need to have a safe framework so that if a teacher says, that's not okay, they know why. And then, and I know from my experience, parents are also very concerned about what it all means. They might not, as they're most likely not educators themselves, but they want to know what's going on at school. What are their student or their children using? What are their children being asked to use? And how's the relationship happening in school? So my advice is as a school leader, as a director, really is primarily for other school leaders to have these conversations, create policies, and give your teachers an opportunity to learn and be trained.